Welcome back to Good Morning Utah, 7:39. Buying and selling gold. We've all been hearing about it, but how do you actually buy gold? How do you actually spend gold? When do you actually need it? Where can you use it? Well, the state of Utah has a new program that is designed to make all of this a little bit easier. And this morning, we have a couple folks with us to talk about it. We have Larry Hilton from the Citizens for Sound Money. He's a director and founder, and also Tea Party leader Darcy Van Orden. First off, let's back up so people understand. We're talking about sound money. Utah passed the Sound Money Act recently. What exactly does that mean?
Well, basically, we monetized gold and silver to be used as currency, and we unlocked its intrinsic value. So basically, now citizens in the state of Utah can use gold and silver, U.S. minted coins, as actual money. And so no longer will they tax it because it is, in fact, money and currency.
So and I'm just going to jump in because let's just say gold, and I'm going to use a round figure, $1,500 for an ounce, right? I mean, I know it's a little bit more than that. So you have a 1 ounce of gold in a coin, and you'd be able to go buy $1,500 worth of groceries? What do you mean exactly?
Yeah, exactly. The idea here is that we'd be able to use it at its fair market value, because the federal government has created gold and silver coin for us beginning back in the 1980s. They started minting it again. But they stamped it. You have like a 1 ounce gold piece stamped with a $50 face value.
And so, now gold's way more. Now, I know, and we can go way back here, back in the day, and for 170 years or so, we used gold. I mean, if you were, or at least the value, if you had a paper dollar, it was backed up by somewhere in a treasury with silver and gold and things like that. We went away with that, and ever since then, of course, our debt issues as well, because now it's just, what's that dollar really worth, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you said, for 170 years, an ounce of gold cost exactly $1.29, because that was the constitutional rate for the definition of a dollar was 371 1/4 grains of fine silver.
Of silver, yeah. So the Utah Sound Act, you even had a big. Explain this big summit that you had, because some people say, well, what are you talking about? I mean, I've got dollars, or I could buy an ounce of gold. Are we really trying to get back to a system where you can back up what you're spending?
Well, so actually you mentioned the summit. Back in September, we had this wonderful monetary summit where we actually brought people in from over 5 countries around the world, but basically the monetary experts who understand the importance of sound money. And so basically it was an incredible opportunity to find out what other states are doing, because Utah is in fact the leader on sound money. There's actually a dozen other states looking to pass similar legislation to our Legal Tender Act that went into law back in June. And so I think people are now, they're mixing around in their head, how is this going to work? Am I going to go to the grocery store now with, a bunch of, gold and silver in my pocket? We're actually working on setting up a depository that will link a debit card to your gold and silver deposits.
Does that undercut the federal government? I mean, we have obviously we have a nationwide federal system, but can states do that? Can they say, hey, look, we have our own monetary system, and it is backed up. If you're going to spend $1, we've got that.
Absolutely. This is, I think, an issue that's not well understood, that states have independent monetary authority. Under the Constitution, both Congress and state legislators have a role in setting monetary policy. It's one of those checks and balances that we always talk about, but it's one that's been neglected over time.
All right, well, we obviously just touched on the subject. We'll dig into it a little bit deeper, and by the way, we'll show you, maybe we'll get a shot of this $100 trillion bill right here as well. That's what it feels like, though, because we just have no basis for our money. We're just getting in more and more debt. So thank you both, and we'll talk to you a little bit later, both of you, both Darcy and Larry. And right now, my understanding is we are going to a break, right? Okay.